Hi everybody, this is Sam with an important announcement that viewers of our show need to hear. SCAN is a 501c3 organization which gives us the time and equipment to produce the show as you see it today. It is through SCAN that Ask an Atheist airs live in the Seattle area, and as many of you know, this is the source of many of our most interesting calls. This was recently posted to the scantv.org website. The mayor released his budget today, and the news for SCAN was not good. In the mayor's budget, SCAN's budget will be reduced significantly. Additionally, the mayor wants to put public access in Seattle out for bid, so there is no guarantee that SCAN would continue to be the public access manager for the city of Seattle. Under the reduced budget proposed by the mayor, the public access station would no longer offer studios, edit suites, or cameras. The station would no longer offer education and training. Instead, public access would just air submitted programming. Given that Ask an Atheist is produced entirely through the auspices of SCAN, using their studios, edit suites, and cameras, this is a threat to the future of the show. The SCAN TV website asks that people interested in the future of SCAN attend one of 3 budget hearings that will be occurring over the next month. If you are an Ask an Atheist viewer in the Seattle area, we would appreciate your help. Here's what the scantv.org site has to say about the budget meetings. There are 3 of them. The first is Wednesday, September 29th at 5:30 at the Northgate Community Center. The second is Wednesday, October 13th at 5:30 at South Seattle Community College. The last is Tuesday, October 26th at 5:30 in the City Council chambers. Make signs that say "Keep SCAN on the air," be vocal, and keep public access alive. SCAN also asks that emails be sent to City Council members. Those email addresses, as well as other things that you can do to help, are posted again at the scantv.org site. While we do talk about the SCAN budget saga in today's episode, this information was released after we aired on Sunday, and we felt it was important enough to pass on to our online viewers sooner rather than later. We will be updating our website in the next few days with information about this issue, but please, visit scantv.org and see what you can do to help. Thanks for listening, and now for today's show. Welcome to Ask an Atheist, a weekly educational call-in program dedicated to atheism, skeptical inquiry, and the separation of church and state. We air live from SCAN Studios in Seattle every Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and are archived online at www.askanatheist.tv. My name is Sam Mulvey, and with me today is Mike Gillis. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Today's been an interesting
This
day.
has been a day, but we're feeling pretty good about it now.
Interesting times in the Chinese sense of the word.
Yeah, just a little, just out there today. The format of the show is going to be a little different, partially because of some mix-up with scheduling on 3 or 4 different fronts, and because of a technical glitch here in the studio. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to take calls today, and we apologize for that in advance. In the future, on the web, you'll hear about it. We're sorry. We do have a lot of viewer interaction today. Unfortunately, it's not going to be live. So, interesting stuff. I drove up to SCAN Studios today, and it seemed to me that SCAN Studios had become a sort of it looked a little bit like an IKEA, I think.
Yeah, they did some painting. I know the studios have been closed all last week.
Yeah.
They're painting, and it happened to be bright blue and yellow.
Sorely needed.
Yeah.
It was in this neighborhood, it was kind of weird, and the paint was obviously fading. SCAN does the amazing thing they do here on a shoestring budget, and that means things like outside maintenance of the building kind of falls by the wayside. But they got some help, and they got some funding from other areas, I believe, to do this. And they painted it, so they gave it sort of the IKEA blue and yellow color, and it actually really stands out. And I like it. I like the aesthetic sensibility of it.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the giant dish in the tower, I mean, it always kind of looked like a house. I mean, it's very deceptive, the outside of SCAN. It looks like a house pushed up against a warehouse.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice. It'll stick out now. So.
But this is sort of this is kind of gives you an idea of what's going on with SCAN right now. As we've been saying recently, SCAN has been fighting, sort of not fighting really, but having a protracted discussion with the government of the city of Seattle.
Continue funding.
To continue funding for this network that brings you Ask an Atheist, one of 2 shows we know of that specifically deals with atheism.
and they need your help. And if you would like to help them out, if you would like to let them know, if you'd like to let them know that you appreciate SCAN, and you would like to help SCAN tell the government that you appreciate SCAN, you should go to their website, which I believe is scantv.org. And there's a lot of information there. The people that you contact on the SCAN, via the SCAN website have always been very quick to get back to us and to our viewers. And so do talk to them. Do see what you can do to help.
Oh yeah, just because some of the other shows can be a little kooky. Don't pretend that the people who work here are not consummate professionals. Just because they're UFO
we do try to keep an even keel with the other producers here, but there are some weird shows.
Some keels cannot be evened.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing with public access, is it really does give people the opportunity to hear voices in the media that you wouldn't normally hear. Unfortunately, it's kind of like the internet in the way that once you open that up, just about anything can get in, as long as somebody has the persistence to sort of work to get their stuff on. So you hear these voices you wouldn't normally hear, but sometimes those voices hear voices. And but the thing is, again, this is the one venue where us, as an atheist show, can get a chance to talk to viewers.
A couple episodes ago, we did do an episode on the 9/11 Truther movement, specifically about one aspect of it. And we have been a little concerned if that episode ever, well, not concerned, actually kind of interested to see if when that episode hit some of the other producers here, is because I think we're the only show on SCAN who actually tries to debunk truthers rather than take their side.
Yeah, I've actually been to a producer association meeting where somebody's speech actually began with, well, 9/11 was an inside job.
And then, okay, there's...
That's where that speech goes.
And we're talking about lunch. I mean, it's just, we're having a discussion about budgetary stuff and kind of really standard things you talk about at a producer's meeting, and just out of nowhere, sort of like your rhetorical jack-in-the-box. 9/11 was an inside job.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see, I'll put it that way. However, not all shows on SCAN are conspiracy theory shows. I mean, there's us, there's
The High Bar is a really good show. Great show. You should totally check that out.
If you guys watch us, I'd love to be on your show someday, because I'm kind of into that. I'm an atheist.
A weird sort of interesting thing, Warren Etheridge, the host of The High Bar, I went to a film school where he was my instructor in screenwriting class. So I reckon this is another one of those weird small world things.
That is really...
It's like, hey, I know him. So yeah, it's a really good show. Warren is an awesome guy. You want to check it out. It's a lot of fun conversation about local and national issues. What else? Bandish was a really good one.
Bandish does traditional Indian music, which is really cool. They jam for a while, and it's really interesting. I like watching that show. They've got we've got Nightmare Fuel.
Nightmare Fuel, which is... It's like condensed crazy of the internet. Nick McCoy, who works here at the station, does it. It is hilarious and disturbingly hypnotic. So there are a lot of good shows on SCAN.
And the reason we're mentioning some of these other shows is that there's also another thing SCAN is doing right now called the SCAN Awards. Is that every year they take votes from on the air and people who come to the studio and figure out who wins awards for whatever.
There's an actual statue with it too. It's not just you actually get this little glass statue. So. Please vote for us if you go to scantv.org or go to our website, www.askanatheist.tv. There's a link on there. Vote for us. We're up in 4 different categories. There's Best New Show, Best Studio Live Show, Best Locally Produced Show.
And
our personal favorite, we would so want to win this. I mean, vote for us on everything, but if you are going to vote for us on just one thing, please vote for us for favorite religious and spiritual program.
Absolutely. Oh man, that would just completely make my day.
Oh, they are going to air the actual SCAN Awards show, so if you win that, you will see some sort of a speech, and I may have to thank Jesus from the podium.
And sort of the final announcement for today is, as usual, you can contact us, as you can see right now, at the askanatheist.tv website. But another way you can contact us, we have recently added to the webpage, and we've announced on the TV show already, but we're announcing again, is that even if you would like to call us, and you would like your voice to be on the show, but unfortunately you can't contact us while the show is live, we have a voicemail line at 206-420-0997. And as you will see today, when you call us with a voicemail, we'll actually put your call on the air and respond to your voicemail as if it were a call. So please feel free to call that and leave us a message, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
I think it opens things up a bit too, because I mean, normally calls, of course, restricted to people who are free and available,
Right.
and able to call us during 3 to 4 Pacific time every Sunday. This opens it up a bit. So if you're somewhere in a different time zone, a different country, and you want to give us a call, you want to challenge us, ask us a question, or you're just curious, please give the number a call, and we will play it on the air.
And we're going to be experimenting with other ways to contact us as the time goes on, but voicemail was definitely something we wanted to do. So again, 206-420-0997. And now I think we'll get to the first segment today. If you've been following the website, one of the things we announced a few weeks ago was that atheist blogger and author Greta Christina was going to be in the studio to do a taped interview. And that happened about 2 weeks ago, actually after the 9/11 episode, to give you an idea of the mood in the room when we did it. So she was in. We did a bit of an interview after the show was over, and then we decided that we were going to air that interview at a later date. And
Today is that day.
Today is that day. And it was actually pretty interesting because, as you'll see in the interview, we actually got a phone call for somebody who had gotten the times mixed up. So in the middle of this taped interview, sort of like that Mr. Show clip, we got a phone call, and it actually turned out to be a pretty interesting phone call, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So how did you, Mike here did the interview, how did you?
I enjoyed it. Greta Christina is someone that I've read a lot of her stuff. There's several times during the interview that I'm about to say something or actually add to something she says. Like, I'm like, oh, I know how to bounce off of this. And then she says it, and I'm like, well, I don't need to talk. And I think that's one of the things I have is that so much of what she writes, and I say this in the interview, so much, I wish I had written it. I wish so much of what she says and writes, I'm like, wow, I wish I had written that article. And
she was new to me. I don't really wade the blogosphere as much as most. And somebody said her name, and I looked up what she had written and what she had done, and it turned out I was converted right there.
She's really good. There's an article called Atheists in Anger, Atheists in the LGBT movement. There's a lot of really good stuff that she's written online, and I would highly recommend just Google it.
And then she went to the RAM with us. And
she went to the RAM, yeah.
It was really cool.
So you look up Greta Christina's blog. It's a great one. It's one of the 2 or 3 blogs that I actually really enjoy. She's just a great writer, and
well, yeah. So without further ado, if we're ready, here is the Greta Christina interview.
All right, push the button, Frank. Welcome to a non-live version of Ask an Atheist. I'm Mike Gillis, and I'm sitting here with Greta Christina. Greta Christina is one of the most widely read and well-respected bloggers in the atheist blogosphere. She was recently ranked by an independent analyst as one of the top 10 most popular atheist bloggers and does regular speaking engagements for the Speakers Bureau of the Secular Student Alliance. She's a regular atheist correspondent for Alternet, the online political magazine, and has been writing about atheism and skepticism for her own cleverly named Greta Christina's blog since 2005. Her writing has appeared in numerous magazines, newspapers, and anthologies, including Ms., Skeptical Inquirer, the Chicago Sun-Times, and the anthology Everything You Know About God Is Wrong. She's been writing professionally since 1989, and topics including sexuality and sex positivity, LGBT issues, politics, culture, and whatever crosses her mind. She's also the person who's written more stuff that I wish I had written myself. With that, just welcome Greta Christina to Ask an Atheist.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really delighted to be here.
So a topic you've written on extensively is that what we as the atheist movement can learn from the LGBT movement. What do you see as the parallels between the two?
Well, I think there's a lot of parallels between the two movements. The atheist movement is a movement, or a community, I should say. The atheist community is a community that people tend to come out into as adults. Unlike, say, the African American community or having an identity as a Jew or as a woman, where those are identities that people grow up with, they have communities that they've grown up with their entire lives. Like being an LGBT person, being an atheist is an identity that people come into as adults. And so, and that's a different kind of community. It on the one hand, it leaves people feeling a little bit unmoored when they come into that movement and that community, and often, in fact, coming into that community means having to alienate ourselves from our family and from the people that we knew. At the same time, there's also this, sense of liberation when people start to identify as an atheist, just as when people start to identify as somebody who's LGBT. There is this sense of, liberation and, being able to reinvent yourself.